Captain Ryland strode through the bustling marketplace of Xylar 7, a trading hub on the edge of human-colonized space. The streets were crowded with aliens of every shape and size. Some floated on anti-gravity pads. Others had multiple limbs waving in every direction. Neon signs blinked in alien languages, casting strange colors over the crowd. Merchants shouted their wares, their voices mixing with the hum of hovering vehicles and the faint scent of exotic spices. Ryland's boots clicked on the metal walkway as he weaved between shoppers. His human instincts kept him alert, and he enjoyed the chaos. He liked places like this, places full of life, danger, and the unexpected. His dark hair fell slightly over his eyes, and a smirk played on his lips as he watched the scene around him. Among the crowd, he noticed her. She stood apart, almost statuesque, observing quietly. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the neon lights around her. Her eyes glowed softly with a pale lavender light, and her posture was perfect, graceful, calm, and commanding attention without trying. Even in this crowded place, she seemed to exist in her own bubble. Ryland's curiosity was piqued. He had seen many alien species, but something about her was different. She didn't just look beautiful. She radiated a sense of intelligence, confidence, and subtle power. He approached her, trying not to appear too eager. "Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes?" he said, letting his usual charm drip from his words. The alien woman turned her head slowly, her glowing eyes locking onto his. There was no fear in her gaze, no surprise, just calm observation. Ryland felt a chill run down his spine, though he quickly hid it behind a cocky smile. "You're not from around here," he continued, stepping a little closer. "I am a Veer," she said, her voice soft but clear, almost musical. Ryland grinned. "Right, a Veer. Beautiful people. Very graceful." He paused, letting his words linger in the air. "You'd make a cute wife." He expected a laugh or a playful jab back. He got neither. The woman froze. Her body went rigid, and her eyes widened slightly. The bustling marketplace seemed to fade away, as if time itself had slowed. Ryland blinked, confused, and then she whispered, "I accept." Ryland's smirk faltered. "Wait, what?" Her gaze never wavered. "I accept," she repeated, her voice carrying a calm authority that made Ryland step back slightly. He laughed awkwardly, shaking his head. I was joking. You know, just teasing." But Lyra did not laugh. She only studied him silently, her glowing eyes steady and unwavering. The marketplace noise slowly returned, but Ryland felt trapped in a moment that had suddenly grown serious. "Teasing?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. "In my culture, words carry power. To say, 'I accept,' is to commit." Ryland froze. "Commit? Like marriage?" She nodded. "Verbal acceptance is binding. Your words have pledged yourself to me." Ryland felt his stomach drop. What had started as a joke now felt like a trap he had walked into unknowingly. I didn't know," he stammered, trying to mask his panic behind a half-hearted grin. "You know now," Lyra said simply. Her tone carried no malice, only certainty. Ryland's mind raced. He had traveled across countless star systems, negotiated trade deals with dangerous alien species, and survived hostile planets. He tried to find a loophole, some human trick to undo the mistake. "Look," he said, holding up his hands. "I didn't mean it seriously. I was just joking. I didn't know it would, mean something." Lyra took a single step closer, her movements smooth and deliberate. She extended a slender hand, glowing slightly under the neon lights. "Words are never just words," she said. "Intent matters, yes, but action honors them. You have spoken. Now you must choose. Ryland's heart pounded. He had always believed in freedom, in doing what he wanted, when he wanted. Yet here, confronted by a calm, alien presence, he realized that in some worlds, freedom had limits, even for a human. He forced a laugh. Well, I suppose I could honor it. Somehow. Lyra's lips curved in the faintest hint of a smile. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it carried weight. Perhaps, she said. Perhaps. Ryland could feel the curious stares of other aliens around them, though no one intervened. Clearly, this was not a human ritual, and yet it demanded attention. He glanced around, suddenly aware of how alone he felt in this alien city. The marketplace buzzed with life, oblivious to the tension between the human and the Avir woman. Street vendors hawked strange fruits, metal creatures clattered along the walkways, and small flying drones delivered packages. Yet, none of it mattered. Ryland's mind was consumed by the single, unexpected truth. He had, by accident, proposed to an alien woman. He sighed. This is a problem, he muttered to himself. Lyra tilted her head. Only if you let it be. Choices are yours, human. You may honor your words, or attempt to flee. Both will have consequences. Ryland felt his chest tighten. Flee? He had faced pirates, predators, and deadly planets. Running from a verbal commitment to an alien? That was a new level of risk. He looked at her more closely. Her eyes glowed softly in the dim light, revealing intelligence and patience. There was no fear in her expression, no uncertainty, only expectation. And for some reason, that expectation challenged him more than any danger he had ever faced. All right, he said finally, his voice steadier than he felt. I suppose I need to understand more. Lyra nodded once. Then come with me. I will explain your options, and you will learn the meaning of your words. Ryland followed her through the crowded marketplace, the neon lights reflecting off her shimmering skin. People of every species stepped aside respectfully. Even though he was a human, he felt the weight of the Avir culture pressing against him, shaping every step he took. As they moved, Lyra explained the basics of her people. The Avir were ancient, known for their intelligence, discipline, and strict adherence to the power of spoken words. A verbal agreement, no matter how small it seemed to outsiders, could not be ignored. To say, I accept, was to commit fully, binding two individuals together in a partnership recognized by society. Ryland listened carefully, his earlier humor replaced by a mix of awe and anxiety. He had never encountered a culture where words carried such absolute power. Here, a single misstep could have lasting consequences. By the time they reached the edge of the marketplace, Ryland was quiet, lost in thought. He realized that his playful nature, something that had served him well in countless negotiations and dangerous encounters, had led him into something far beyond his experience. Lyra stopped at a hovering transport. This will take us to a place where you can learn, safely, she said. Ryland glanced at her, feeling both nervous and intrigued. Safe, meaning I won't get eaten by aliens? Lyra's faint smile deepened. Yes. Safe from others, but not from your choices. He nodded slowly, understanding the seriousness of the moment. For the first time in his life, Ryland felt that his wit and charm might not be enough to navigate a situation. He would need intelligence, respect, and courage, qualities that humans often overlooked in themselves. As they ascended into the air, leaving the marketplace below, Ryland looked at Lyra. The playful tease that started it all had transformed into something real, something serious, and deep down, he felt a spark of excitement. Perhaps this challenge was exactly what he needed, not just to survive, but to grow. For the first time in a long time, Captain Ryland did not know what the future held. And that, strangely, thrilled him. The transport hummed quietly as it soared above Xylar 7, carrying Captain Rylan and Lyra toward a part of the city he had never seen. Below them, the marketplace was a blur of colors, lights, and movement, shrinking into the distance as the vehicle rose higher. Rylan stared at Lyra, trying to process everything he had learned. He had always thought of himself as quick, adaptable, and able to handle any situation. But this was different. He had teased, not knowing the cultural weight of words. Now, the Avir woman beside him had accepted his joke, and in her society, that acceptance was binding. "I still don't understand," he said finally, breaking the silence. "You really intend to follow through on what I said?" Lyra's glowing eyes met his. "I accept what was spoken. It is the way of my people. But it is not only your words that matter. It is your actions that will define the bond." Rylan ran a hand through his hair. "So, my actions can prove I'm worthy?" "Yes, or fail," Lyra replied. Her tone was calm, yet there was no mistaking the seriousness in her words. Rylan swallowed hard. He had faced pirates, mercenaries, and hostile wildlife. But he had never been tested in a way where humor and words alone could create obligations with lifelong consequences. And yet, a part of him felt intrigued. The transport landed smoothly on a landing pad attached to a massive, sleek building. Its surfaces were smooth and metallic, reflecting light like liquid silver. Lyra led him inside, and Rylan noticed the air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet like alien flowers combined with electricity. "This is the Avir Cultural Center," Lyra explained. "Here, humans are rare, and their actions are studied closely. You will learn quickly what it means to speak and act with honor." Rylan blinked at the grandeur. The walls shimmered slightly, shifting colors with subtle patterns, and soft light seemed to come from the floors themselves. Robots glided silently across the hallways, carrying items or guiding visitors. The technology was advanced, far beyond anything he had seen on most human colonies. Lyra led him to a room that appeared simple compared to the rest of the center. It was round, with a transparent ceiling that revealed the city skyline above. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a metallic bench. Rylan hesitated. "So, what now? Am I in trouble?" Lyra shook her head. "No, not trouble. Challenge. You have accepted a bond. Yes, but now you will learn what it means. You will be tested. In small ways first. Observation. Patience. Intellect." Rylan raised an eyebrow. "Tests? You're kidding, right?" She did not smile. "Humor is allowed, but not in the tests. Your words are not enough. You must act." Rylan felt a strange mixture of anxiety and excitement. He had always thrived under pressure, but this was a different kind of pressure. Subtle, mental, cultural. Not life-threatening, yet potentially life-altering. The first test was simple, but revealing. Lyra handed him a small, glowing cube. Its surface shimmered with shifting symbols. "This is a communication device. You must learn to operate it, using only observation and logic. You may not speak until you understand its functions." Rylan tilted the cube in his hands. Symbols shifted as he moved it, reacting to his touch. He frowned, studying patterns, trying different angles, pressing lightly here and there. Minutes passed, and he began to notice how the cube responded to gestures, pressure, and subtle movements. Lyra watched silently, her posture perfect, her glowing eyes fixed on him. Rylan felt a strange pressure, not fear, but expectation. His human confidence was tested against alien intelligence. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the cube reacted to his final gesture. a small panel opened, revealing a message in both human and Avir script. "Well done." Rylan exhaled, feeling both relief and pride. "Not bad for a human," he muttered under his breath. Lyra's faint smile confirmed his success. "You observe well. That is the first requirement." Next came a physical test. Rylan followed Lyra to a large chamber, its walls glowing softly. Platforms floated mid-air, shifting positions unpredictably. "The Avir value agility and control," Lyra explained. "You must move across the platforms without falling. Observation and calmness will help you succeed." Ryland stepped onto the first platform. It hovered slightly and began to tilt. He focused, adjusting his balance carefully. Each movement had to be precise. His human reflexes were fast, but the alien technology required patience and foresight. Halfway across, one platform tilted dangerously, threatening to throw him off. Rylan froze instinctively, but then remembered Lyra's earlier advice. Observation, patience, intellect. He recalculated his movements, shifted his weight slowly, and continued. When he reached the final platform, Lyra nodded. "You adapt well. That is the second requirement." Rylan wiped sweat from his brow, feeling the strange exhilaration of being tested not just physically, but mentally. He had faced dangerous missions before, but never had he been forced to learn, adapt, and respect an entirely alien culture in such direct ways. The third test came unexpectedly. As they walked through a corridor filled with glowing panels, alarms suddenly sounded. Red lights flashed, and a holographic display appeared. Hostile boarding craft detected. Rylan instinctively reached for his sidearm, but Lyra placed a hand on his arm. "Observe first, then act." From the display, he saw several small ships approaching. The Avir defense systems were already online, and energy barriers began to form around the cultural center. Lyra gestured toward a control console. "You may participate. Only actions that respect procedure will succeed." Rylan studied the controls. Alien symbols and holographic buttons glowed in patterns he barely understood. He remembered the cube earlier observation. Patience, logic. Slowly, he deduced the sequence to activate defense turrets and redirect the energy fields. When he finally pressed the correct sequence, the small boarding craft were disabled mid-flight. Sparks flew across the holographic display as alarms stopped. Lyra's glowing eyes softened. "You adapt quickly. Humans may seem impulsive, but your reasoning is valuable when observed carefully." Rylan exhaled, feeling a rush of pride. Lyra had been testing him, pushing him to prove that he was not just a human who spoke words lightly. He realized now that the bond was more than cultural formality. It was about trust, respect, and mutual capability. Later, as they returned to the quiet chamber, Rylan tried to joke again. "So, how did I do? Am I a cute human partner yet?" Lyra's lips curved faintly. "You have proven capable, but capability is not charm. Respect is not humor. You are intriguing, human. That is more important than cuteness." Rylan laughed, feeling the weight of the lesson and the thrill of connection. They walked in silence for a while, watching the city below shimmer in neon colors. Rylan began to notice things he had missed before: the harmony between technology and nature, the subtle patterns of Avir architecture, and the patience that seemed to underlie every movement in the city. He realized that humans often rushed, acted impulsively, and underestimated the consequences of words. Here, in Lyra's world, patience, observation, and careful action were everything. And yet, he also realized that humans had strengths: adaptability, courage, and humor that could bridge gaps where diplomacy or ritual failed. That night, Lyra guided him to a meditation chamber. Soft, glowing lights and gentle hums filled the space. "You must rest," she said. "Your mind will need clarity for tomorrow." The bond you accepted is not yet complete. Tomorrow, your true challenge begins. Rylan lay on the soft, levitating platform, staring at the shimmering ceiling. He thought about how a playful tease had led him here from a busy marketplace to the heart of an alien culture, being tested in ways he had never imagined. He realized something important. He had always believed humans were clever and resilient. But here, his cleverness had almost failed him. He had underestimated culture, underappreciated words, and overestimated charm. Yet, in facing this, he also saw the best parts of being human. Humor, quick thinking, and courage. These were traits that impressed even the Avir. And perhaps, he thought with a faint smile, that was why Lyra had accepted his words. Not because of a joke, but because humans were unpredictable, strong, and capable of surprising even the most disciplined species. As sleep approached, Rylan felt a strange excitement. The challenges were only beginning. The lessons had just started, and the bond he had unintentionally formed was real and binding. But for the first time, he did not feel fear. He felt eager. Tomorrow, he would face more tests, more culture, more surprises. And perhaps, he would finally begin to understand Lyra, and, in the process, understand something more about himself. For the first time in a long while, Captain Rylan looked forward to learning, respecting, and perhaps even becoming part of something larger than himself. And that, he realized, was far more thrilling than any space battle he had ever faced. The journey from the Avir Cultural Center to Lyra's homeworld was quiet. Captain Rylan sat beside Lyra in the sleek transport, his thoughts swirling with everything he had learned. The tests had been difficult, pushing him to think, observe, and act in ways he never expected. Yet, despite the challenge, he felt alive in a way he hadn't in years. Below them, Lyra's planet shimmered in the light of two suns. Oceans sparkled like liquid crystal, and floating cities glimmered above the landscape, tethered by streams of energy that pulsed like veins. The advanced technology was balanced beautifully with nature. Trees with translucent leaves rose above the water, birds with metallic feathers glided through the skies, and alien creatures moved gracefully along the surfaces of the cities. "This is beautiful," Rylan murmured, unable to take his eyes off the scenery. Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting the sunlight. "It is our home. You will learn its ways, its values. The bond you accepted must be understood fully before it is complete." Rylan swallowed. The seriousness in her tone reminded him that this was no longer about playful, teasing, or tests. This was about trust, honor, and mutual respect. As they descended toward the main city, Rylan noticed the elegance of the architecture. Towers floated above the ground, their shapes organic and ever-shifting. Bridges glowed with energy, connecting towers in impossible patterns. Everything was alive, yet precise. It was a world that demanded attention, observation, and intelligence. Lyra guided him through the city's gates, where Avir guards scanned them carefully. Humans were rare here, and she introduced him as her companion. Rylan felt the weight of eyes on him, some curious, some skeptical. He realized that in this society, humans were unpredictable, and not everyone trusted them. "You will meet the council today," Lyra explained as they walked along a glowing bridge. "They will observe you, test your judgment, and decide whether your bond is acceptable in the eyes of our people." Rylan nodded. He had faced countless challenges, but meeting the council of an alien world was new territory. He forced himself to stay calm, remembering Lyra's lessons about observation, patience, and logic. The council chamber was magnificent. Floating platforms rose above a pool of shimmering liquid, each platform holding a council member. Their forms were diverse, some more humanoid than others, all radiating authority. They observed him silently, their glowing eyes sharp and assessing. Lyra stepped forward. This is Captain Rylan. He has accepted the bond of words spoken between us. He is human, but he has proven capable and observant. The council remained silent for a long moment. Then one spoke, its voice deep and resonant. A human who accepts without full understanding is a rare thing. His actions must prove his worth. He must demonstrate courage, intelligence, and honor. Rylan swallowed. He had expected skepticism, but the weight of this moment was more than he had imagined. The council presented him with a scenario. A neighboring sector of the planet was facing a crisis. A natural energy storm threatened a floating city. Humans had never encountered AVER energy storms, but they required careful calculation and precision to stabilize. You will act, the council said. Your actions will determine your acceptance. Rylan glanced at Lyra. Her calm gaze gave him strength. We can do this, she whispered. Together. He nodded, and they moved to the control interface. Energy grids glowed beneath their fingers, streams of power flowing unpredictably. Rylan's human intuition and quick thinking guided his actions, while Lyra's precise knowledge of AVER energy systems directed the process. Together, they stabilized the energy storm, diverting dangerous currents and reinforcing the city's shields. Sparks of energy danced around them, and Rylan felt the thrill of working alongside an alien as capable as any human ally he had ever had. When the storm settled, the council observed silently. Rylan exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra's eyes glimmered with pride. You acted well, she said softly. Not as a human, but as my equal in thought and action. The council members nodded. Your courage and reasoning are commendable, one said. Humans are unpredictable, yet this one has shown value in observation and cooperation. The bond may proceed. See. Rylan felt a surge of relief and pride. He had passed the ultimate test, not by charm or humor, but by demonstrating the qualities that truly mattered: courage, intelligence, and the willingness to adapt. Later, Lyra took him to a private balcony overlooking the twin suns. The city below glimmered like a living jewel. She turned to him, her expression serious but warm. The bond, she said, was never about obedience. It was about seeing your true nature. Humor, yes, but also courage, loyalty, and intelligence. These are the qualities my people value, and they are qualities you have shown. Rylan smiled, feeling the depth of her words. So, I'm not just a human who made a mistake? Lyra shook her head. You are more. You are capable, adaptable, and willing to learn. That is why I accepted. Not because of a joke, but because I saw potential. Rylan's chest tightened. He had always valued freedom, independence, and cleverness. Yet here, in this alien world, he realized that human strengths, quick thinking, resilience, and humor could bridge even the greatest cultural divides. For the first time, he understood why humans could impress even the most disciplined alien civilizations. It wasn't about technology or brute strength. It was about heart, mind, and spirit. Lyra reached out and took his hand. The glow from her skin shimmered softly against his. You will stay, she said, not because of obligation, but because of choice. You have proven yourself worthy, and the bond is now mutual. Rylan felt a rush of emotions, pride, excitement, and a surprising warmth. I choose to stay, he said. Not because I have to, but because I want to. She smiled fully this time, a radiant, glowing smile that made him realize how rare and profound this connection was. Over the next days, Rylan learned more about Lyra's world. He trained alongside her in energy manipulation, observed their cultural rituals, and participated in councils. He discovered that humans, though impulsive and sometimes reckless, had unique qualities that impressed even advanced civilizations. Quick thinking, humor, courage, and adaptability, these traits allowed them to survive and even thrive where others might fail. Lyra guided him patiently, teaching the deeper meaning of her people's customs. He began to understand that the bond was more than formal acceptance. It was a partnership of equals. Humans and Avir were different, yet their strengths could complement each other in ways that bridged culture, species, and experience. One evening, as the twin suns set, Rylan and Lyra stood on a floating terrace overlooking the city. The sky was painted in hues of gold and purple, reflecting in the shimmering waters below. "You've changed," Lyra said softly. "You are no longer just a human visitor. You are someone who respects, understands, and adapts." Rylan smiled. "And you've changed me. I never thought a playful joke could lead to this." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "It is not the joke, but the choice that followed. That is what matters." Rylan took her hand in both of his. "Then I choose," he said again, "to learn, to adapt, and to stand with you. Not because I must, but because I want to." She nodded, and for a moment, the bustling city below seemed to disappear. There was only them, two beings from different worlds, connected by choice, trust, and mutual respect. In that quiet moment, Rylan realized something profound. Humans were resilient, adaptable, and capable of great understanding. They could thrive even in the most alien of circumstances, and their spirit could earn respect across galaxies. Lyra squeezed his hand. "Your people may be unpredictable," she said, "but you have shown that unpredictability can be strength when guided by courage and understanding." Rylan laughed softly. "So, humans really can shine, huh?" Lyra's eyes glimmered with amusement. "Yes, and you have proven it." As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Rylan felt a sense of belonging he had never known. He had come to an alien world by accident, teased a powerful alien woman, and stumbled into a cultural bond he barely understood. Yet, through respect, observation, and courage, he had not only survived, he had thrived. He looked at Lyra, the woman who had once frozen at his teasing words, and now stood as his equal and partner. Together, they had bridged worlds, cultures, and expectations. Together, they had proven that human qualities, wit, courage, adaptability, could stand alongside the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And as the stars began to shine above the twin suns, Rylan knew one thing with certainty. This was only the beginning. Human and Avir, side by side, ready to face the universe together.